Hello everyone, my name is Levi Gallegos and I will be discussing the manufacturing process on ice cream. So I just really chose this topic because I found it was very interesting that so many people enjoy the pleasures of ice cream worldwide that not many individuals actually take the time to think and consider like where um, ice cream is made or actually how it is made, especially in such big manufacturing companies. And I don't know, it was just very interesting, especially because ice cream can be dated back all the way to the second century BC. The simple fact that King Solomon and Alexander the Great have actually enjoyed this pleasurable dessert. And although it was modified back then, just because they didn't really use dairy as a necessity, they would still use ice cream with ice and wines and flavored juices. And so, just to see how much it's evolved and how far it's come and in what large consumptions it's actually in, it's just amazing. And so just one of the really interesting things overall is that just how much something so simple and something that we eat every day cannot even be taken into consideration. So that's exactly why I wanted to really evaluate and analyze on how ice cream comes to be, especially in the manufacturing process. So the first step in creating ice cream is actually blending the mixture. So from my understanding is that the milk arrives at the factory. They already have the milk into pre-measured containers, and then they blend it into these big stainless blenders with already pre-measured sugar, eggs, and other additives as well. And that's blended with the milk from 6 to 8 minutes. The next step in the manufacturing process is actually pasteurizing the blend to kill the bacteria, especially because there's bacteria from the dairy. They actually just really try to pasteurize that. So during this process, it really just means that there's hot water on one side of a big stainless container, and it has to float on the other side with the cold mix. And so basically, it's just trying to cool, or like just really trying to get the cold mixture to get as hot as possible, um, up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit to effectively kill any existing bacteria. So that's what I found pretty interesting. Um, the next step in the process is called homogenizing the blend. So it's really just trying to mix. During this process, is really just mixing the blend as thoroughly and consistently as possible, especially because it's just really trying to break down the fat particles and prevent it from separating from like the mixture in general. And so it's really just in this high pressure pump, and it just keeps pumping down the mixture just to really get it all together and consistent basically. um, the next step in this process is cooling and resting the blender. So once everything is sort of consistent enough, they need it to cool down because it's still hot from when they pasteurized it, from killing the bacteria. So this is where the cold water is added in to sort of just make it even, and the mixture is pumped into tanks to get cool. And once it gets cool enough, they allow it to just sit for 4 to 8 hours, just so that it's consistent and cool enough. And then they'll start blending in other ingredients. Which then leads into the next process, which is flavoring the ice cream. So they put them in these vats, so basically big stainless cylinder containers, and they just put in a pump, and they really just start putting in different flavors. So vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, anything you can really think of, and it just flows and pumps out, and they still have to just get it to make sure that it blends thoroughly. And finally, once the flavor is embedded enough into the mixture and that it's been sitting and it's been blended long enough, it then has to be frozen. But during the frozen process, it actually needs to be pumped continuously just to make sure that the flavors is well in there, as well as to make sure that the consistency of the texture is still good. And during this process they actually pump air into the ice cream just to make it into a soft serving ice cream. So one of like very famous, just so it's just not so hard and difficult to serve. And and that's overall the general process. I mean, there are other details that go into it, whether or not they want to add any fruit or anything like that, any other syrups in it, but that's just the general process of ice cream. And so overall, I just found the process very interesting because it it's truly amazing just to know that something so simple actually takes a lot of work and a lot of manufacturing and just the process in which it endures, because many people just think that ice cream is just consisted of dairy products. Nobody really knew that it's more than a few mixes here and there, that it actually that temperature is a very important role during the process, as well as on how much goes into it. And lastly, just knowing that simple air needs to be pumped into it. So overall, I think people will not only learn to enjoy ice cream more, but as well to really just admire the process of the deliciousness.